Beck Weathers. In May 1996, Beck Weathers joined an expedition to climb Mount Everest, the tallest mountain on Earth at 29,032 feet. During the climb, a deadly blizzard struck near the summit. Winds reached over 70 miles per hour, and temperatures dropped below minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit in the death zone, where oxygen levels are already dangerously low. Beck was suffering from snow blindness, caused by intense UV reflection from the snow, and could barely see. As the storm intensified, he became separated from his group. Exhausted and freezing, he collapsed in the snow. Other climbers believed he was already dead and left him behind. For hours, he lay unconscious, in brutal cold. Severe hypothermia slowed his body's metabolism, reducing oxygen demand, and unintentionally helping preserve his brain. Against all odds, he regained consciousness. Nearly blind and barely able to move, he stood up and stumbled back toward camp through hurricane-force winds. He survived, but the extreme cold caused severe frostbite. He later lost both hands and his nose. Beck Weathers was declared dead by the mountain, but somehow he walked back to life. Julianne Kupska. In December 1971, 17-year-old Julianne Kupska was flying over the Peruvian Amazon when lightning struck her plane. The aircraft broke apart mid-air at nearly 10,000 feet. Still strapped to her seat, Julianne fell into the rainforest below. Miraculously, the thick jungle canopy slowed her fall. She survived the impact with a broken collarbone, deep cuts, and a concussion, but she was completely alone. The Amazon jungle was brutally humid during the day and dangerously cold at night. With no food and infected wounds, she followed a small stream, knowing water often leads to civilization. For 11 days, she walked through dense forest, battling exhaustion, dehydration, and the constant threat of infection. Nighttime chills weakened her body further, and insects infested her wounds. Finally, she found a small boat and later encountered local lumber workers who rescued her. Julianne was the only survivor of the crash. Against impossible odds, a 10,000-foot fall, and nearly 2 weeks alone in the jungle, she refused to give up. Harrison O'Keene. In May 2013, Harrison O'Keene was working as a cook on a tugboat off the coast of Nigeria when disaster struck. A massive wave hit the vessel, flipping it upside down and sending it sinking nearly 100 feet below the Atlantic Ocean. Most of the crew drowned instantly, but Harrison managed to find a small air pocket inside the overturned ship. He was trapped in complete darkness, surrounded by freezing ocean water, with no idea if rescue would ever come. For nearly 60 hours, he survived inside that tiny space. The cold water slowly drained his body heat, increasing the risk of hypothermia. He had no food, little air, and limited movement. Panic alone could have ended his life. As oxygen levels dropped, carbon dioxide built up in the air pocket. His breathing became heavier and his body weakened. Rescue divers eventually entered the wreck expecting to recover bodies, but instead, they found Harrison alive. He survived by staying calm, conserving energy, and minimizing heat loss. Against overwhelming odds, he became the sole survivor of the sinking. Mauro Prosperi. In 1994, Italian police officer Mauro Prosperi was competing in the Marathon des Sables, a 6-day ultramarathon across the Sahara Desert. During the race, a powerful sandstorm hit, reducing visibility to almost zero. Mauro lost sight of the trail markers and became completely lost in one of the harshest environments on Earth. Daytime temperatures soared above 120 degrees Fahrenheit, but at night, the desert dropped close to freezing. With limited food and water, dehydration quickly set in. His skin cracked under the sun, and cold desert nights weakened him further. For survival, he drank his own urine and ate bats he caught inside an abandoned shrine. After several days alone, exhausted and hallucinating, Mauro attempted to end his life, believing rescue was impossible. But severe dehydration had thickened his blood so much that he could not bleed. After 9 days, he finally crossed into Algeria, where he was rescued by nomads. Mauro survived extreme heat, freezing nights, starvation, and mental collapse, proving that sometimes the body refuses to give up even when the mind does. Anna Bogenholm. In May 1999, Swedish doctor Anna Bogenholm was skiing in Norway when she lost control and fell into a frozen stream. The ice beneath her broke, and she slipped into water just above 32 degrees Fahrenheit, becoming trapped under a thick layer of ice. For 80 minutes, she remained underwater, unable to reach the surface. Normally, the brain can survive only 4 to 6 minutes without oxygen. But as her body temperature dropped rapidly, her metabolism slowed dramatically. By the time rescuers pulled her out, her heart had stopped. Her core temperature had fallen to 56.7 degrees Fahrenheit, the lowest ever recorded in a surviving human. She showed no signs of life. Doctors used a heart-lung machine to slowly warm her blood and restart circulation. After hours of treatment, her heart began beating again. Days later, she regained consciousness. Over time, she recovered with only minor nerve damage. In her case, the extreme cold that should have killed her actually protected her brain, turning a near-certain death into one of medicine's most extraordinary survival stories. Aaron Ralston. In April 2003, Aaron Ralston was hiking alone in Blue John Canyon, Utah, when a loose 800-pound boulder suddenly shifted and pinned his right arm against a canyon wall. He was completely trapped, with no cell signal and no one aware of his location. During the day, temperatures in the canyon were warm, but at night they dropped sharply, increasing the risk of hypothermia. With limited water and no way to free himself, Aaron spent nearly 5 days stuck in the freezing desert nights and scorching daytime heat. As dehydration set in, his body weakened. Blood circulation in his trapped arm stopped, causing severe tissue damage. He tried everything to move the rock, but failed. Realizing rescue would not come in time, Aaron made a life-or-death decision. Using a small multi-tool, he broke the bones in his arm and amputated it to escape. After freeing himself, he hiked several miles in extreme exhaustion before finally finding help. Aaron survived because he chose action over fear, even when survival meant sacrificing a part of himself. The Andes Flight 571 survivors. In October 1972, Uruguayan Air Force Flight 571 crashed into the Andes Mountains at an altitude of over 12,000 feet. The plane was carrying a rugby team along with friends and family when it struck a mountain ridge during bad weather. Many passengers died on impact. The survivors were left stranded in freezing conditions, surrounded by snow and ice, with no proper winter clothing. Nighttime temperatures dropped below minus 20 degrees Fahrenheit, and oxygen levels were thin at high altitude. With almost no food, they melted snow for water and used pieces of the broken aircraft as shelter. Hypothermia was a constant threat, and frostbite damaged fingers and toes. As days turned into weeks, starvation became critical. In order to survive, the group made the unthinkable decision to consume the bodies of those who had died. After 72 days, 2 survivors hiked across dangerous mountain terrain to find help. 16 people were ultimately rescued. Against freezing temperatures, starvation, and isolation, they endured one of the most extreme survival ordeals in history. Tsutomu Yamaguchi. In August 1945, Tsutomu Yamaguchi was in Hiroshima on a business trip when the first atomic bomb exploded just a few miles away. The blast temperature reached thousands of degrees, and a shockwave tore through the city. Yamaguchi suffered severe burns, temporary blindness, and ruptured eardrums. Despite his injuries, he survived the explosion and spent the night exposed to the elements in a devastated city with little shelter. The next day, he returned to his hometown of Nagasaki. On August 9th, while describing the Hiroshima blast to his employer, a second atomic bomb detonated over the city. Once again, he was thrown by the shockwave. Buildings collapsed, fires spread, and radiation filled the air. Surrounded by destruction for the second time, in 3 days, he somehow survived again. Yamaguchi endured radiation exposure, burns, and extreme physical trauma. Yet he recovered and lived to the age of 93. In a moment when entire cities were erased, he became the only officially recognized person to survive both atomic bombings, a living symbol of human resilience against unimaginable destruction.